What color?
Red.
What color do you want? Daughter.
I don't know where any.
So,
Vacation. So it's the last day here on vacation. Oh, look at that, this background, come on. I'm pretty excited because when I get back, there's a secret toy waiting for me. And now it's time to pack and get out of here because unfortunately, vacation's done. What do you think of that Jell-O, bud?
Green.
You wanted green? We don't have green. Okay, first day back in the studio, the goods have been acquired. The problem is this thing is huge. It's a problem. By the way, I need a new pocket knife. Anybody out there wants to recommend one, let me know. Now, this was sent to me to try, and I'll try to be as unbiased as possible, but I am a cab guy. I love cabs. I don't think I've ever seen one like this. Wow. Well, that was a lot of work. Check this out. So this looks to be cloth that's been epoxied over. It's absolutely beautiful. I was told there was something special going on here with the back, but I can tell you is I don't see screw holes. There are no screw holes back here. No way! It's magnetic! Back of the cab is magnetic. Look at the inside of this thing. I personally haven't seen anybody take as much care inside of the cab as the outside like this before. Painted and sealed edges here. This is nuts. I want to plug this thing up and see what it sounds like. Louis, who makes these Friday cabs, reached out to me and told me that he wanted me to try this cab. He knows he doesn't get to pick what I say about it. Nothing like that. He just wants me to try it. I can already tell you by the looks of it, I'm pretty much in love. But in the studio, looks don't matter for crap. And he said he makes some of the best cabs for studio use. And that's a bold claim. First step in getting to know any piece of gear, you just gotta try it. So I'm gonna try it. That feels really good. I'm sure it sounds like garbage on the camera mic. Okay, so it's been a couple days with the Fried Egg Audio cab. This is a thin line that I have to tread because this is a sponsored video, okay? And this is where it becomes a little difficult to, I don't want to overstate anything, but this is in a completely different ballpark. I was inspired with the flexibility of this thing to the extent that I was playing through it, ended up with a song. In that song, everything that's in there went through this cab. Where I would normally have a drum parallel going through Decapitator, I decided to put it through an amp and then into this cab. I know the sound of 57s. I put two 57s on this thing. I did toy around with other mics and it's magical, but just for ease of comparison for everybody else watching, I wanted to do this with 57s. Now, why did I double mic it? I normally don't do that with cabs. Most cabs that I have matched cones. And this is in talking to Lou, the owner of Fried Egg Audio. Creating the best possible cab is only part of the equation. He was going so far over my head with the physics involved with it and air capacity and all that stuff. He's put thought into that side of it, but then putting the right cones in here, in this case a Mojatone British Classic, something very reminiscent of a vintage 30, and then a Greyhound, and those are extraordinarily different speakers. There's no weird resonances that contribute to the odd shaping that you would normally get with like a vintage 30 or like a darker thing like a greenback. And because the cab is not contributing, may not be the right way to say this, but getting out of the way of the speakers and letting those two very different speakers play off of each other and accentuate those differences and create a very transparent representation of whatever you put into it is pretty darn cool. I got to see a lot of differences on my heads that I don't normally get to see. I talk a lot about the cabs, and I would rather have a different cab than a different amp. This is a little bit of a different beast because it offers things that we can't do with normal cabs, which is why this thing is so interesting for a recording studio to have. A very small footprint as far as a cab goes, and you can have so many different options at your fingertips. I have the front grill off just because that's how I like to mic up speakers. I like to see exactly what I'm doing. This thing, you can take the back cover off without unplugging the cab. You can change out the speakers in a matter of seconds. Yeah, seconds. There's nuts in the front baffle that go in with machine screws, and you're back up and running with a different speaker that fast. Taking the back of the cabinet off and on is like having two different cabs where, yeah, I could do that with an Orange, I could do that with a Marshall, I could do that with my Weber, but all these things are wood screws going into wood, and if you've tried that before, you know you only have a certain amount of time before you can do that, before you really start having to reinforce those holes. Filler, toothpicks and glue, whatever that might be, it starts to get ugly pretty quick. And the same with changing out the speakers. Not this. Now again, I don't want to seem, how do I say this? I don't want to seem disingenuous about a product, especially when it's given to me. But I also want to be honest with you guys when I think something is really, really cool. And I have gotten products that have been given to me that I haven't made videos yet. And it could be I don't have the time to do it. It could be because I don't necessarily like the product. And I talk to everyone about that. Whenever they want to send me anything, they're not sponsoring a video in exchange for a certain opinion. That's not what I want this channel to be. However, in this case, this is a really cool thing with a really cool company, with a really cool guy. And I had a long FaceTime conversation with him that my phone didn't record the audio on, which I'm super bummed out about, but I want to get him on a video if he wants to do it, talking to you guys more about the product in a way that frankly I can't speak to it because I didn't create it. Now this is a lot of words for a guitar cab. It's a box with speakers, but it's way more than that. It has features that we don't normally see in guitar cabs like this. It has a level of versatility that is hard to match and it has a level of being able to make those changes very, very quickly where we don't normally see that in a studio situation. For some of these legendary cabs that we have around in these legendary speakers, they're not easy to switch out and change. You keep a cab because you like the speaker in it, or you have one cab and a bookshelf full of speakers, and changing those out is definitely possible, but in the time constraints of a normal session where other people's money's on the line, it's hard to get it done. In this case, it kind of rules all that stuff out for you. You can have multiple cab sounds out of this one thing. Back on, back off. In the amount of time it would take to have the conversation about what you want out of a different speaker, you could have changed the speaker. And the box, as boring as it is to talk about a box, the box is really, really well made. I know this is an early model of this. In talking to him, he has some pretty cool plans as far as what he wants to do with the aesthetic, which I think this thing's gorgeous. If this were on stage somewhere, that's a freaking statement. It's one thing to look good, it's a whole other thing to sound good, and it has that in spades. Or should I say paisley, because that's what's all over it. As much as we talk about sound, and sound is very important, there is a visual aspect of things that can be inspiring. And frankly, this inspired me when I was working on it. If you don't like the song I created, that's totally cool. It's not meant for you. It was meant for me in the moment. I had fun. I was spurred on because I liked the sounds and the feel and the touch that was coming out of this thing. And every instrument I tossed at it, I was willing to try things that I hadn't tried before because it was so easy to do. The cab wasn't in the way. The cab was part of the process. And that is the biggest thing for me. This is a little bit more expensive than your typical cab, but if you're going for a high-end speaker cab anyway, and honestly, at this point where I am with this thing, I would definitely think that's worth it. Because you're not just getting one cab sound. You're not locked into anything. I'm less than a 10-minute drive from the Weber Speaker Factory. It is here in town. I cannot wait to go get a buffet of speakers and try it in this thing. Where before, still a fun process. I love tinkering with speakers, but it's a pain to pull them out of these other ones. Unscrew the back, unscrew the comb, put everything back together super fast. And so I'm excited about this new world of speakers that I can explore, because the sound really is in the speakers for me and how I work. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about this stuff, go to friedegaudio.com, fill out that contact form, and talk to Lou. 1, he's a really cool guy and he will answer your questions. 2, I really genuinely think, even though they gave me this cab, you should know that. He gave me this cab. This is my cab. But after talking to this guy, super cool guy, incredible passion for what he does, very knowledgeable, and it's just really cool to support a very small one-man business like this, doing something this cool that is this useful to what we do. So if you guys dig that, go hit Lou up, tell him that I sent you, and if you're in the market for a cab, come on, it's pretty cool. I cannot imagine this is the last video with this thing. I have a lot of sessions coming up where I'm going to be using this, and I'm going to try to get weird with it, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching this far, guys. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you in the next one.